everyone, my name is Eric Hopkins, aka JEL. Welcome back to the Dragon's Den. So this is my AEW weekly recap here on the channel, leading into Forbidden Door this coming weekend on June 30th on Sunday. Before we get into AEW Dynamite to this week, the go-home show for the pay-per-view, I wanted to do a special shout-out to Will Ospreay and Brian Cage. Their main event match on AEW Collision was absolutely outstanding. If you did not get a chance to go check out this match, it's definitely worth going back and checking out because both guys were absolutely outstanding in this match, top to bottom. Brian Cage is very underrated in AEW, in my opinion. For such a big guy, he's very athletic. And of course, Will Ospreay, no more needs to be said about him. He's absolutely incredible. Obviously, AEW really loves what they got in Will Ospreay now that he is a full-time AEW talent, and they are showcasing him every chance they get. And this week's Dynamite was no different. But at the same time, I just wanted to put a special shout out to this match here because it was a lot of fun. Very good main event for Collision this week, and I think it kind of helped Collision have decent ratings for a Saturday night, so not too bad there. But yeah, Collision's is a good show. It doesn't have as much storyline as Dynamite does, but at the same time, there's some really good pro wrestling on there. So I highly recommend that you guys check that out each and every Saturday night. AEW Dynamite this week came to us from Buffalo, New York. The show opened up with MJF's entrance music playing in the crowd in Buffalo cheering for the former world champion as he made his way to the ring. He barely spoke a full sentence before Daniel Garcia interrupted him, though. He thanked MJF for saving him last week, but also said that MJF got in his business. Then, surprisingly, he said he was going to say some nice things about MJF, and the Devil seemed surprised and excited about this idea. Daniel Garcia said losing to MJF was embarrassing, but led to him going on the best run of his career. They continued to keep a semi-friendly vibe to this exchange, but they also did a good job making it very clear they aren't friends just because they have common enemies. MJF ended up asking Garcia if he wanted to have a match with him at All In Wembley, but before he could respond, Will Ospreay also came out. He offered Garcia a title shot next week that was quickly accepted. Before he left, Ospreay stared daggers at MJF for a few seconds. But the title match that Ospreay offered Daniel Garcia was the international championship match that Daniel Garcia said that he wanted to have against Will Ospreay. And he's been proving it week in, week out. And Ospreay is going to oblige by this and give him a title shot. But he also told Garcia that it could very well be for the World Championship, the AEW World Championship as well. If Ospreay is able to beat Swerve Strickland on Sunday at Forbidden Door, he's going to put both titles up on the line. So next week on Dynamite, the Beach Break episode, we could be getting a for all the gold title match in the main event here, which could be really fun. MJF definitely left after this, rather displeased and clearly salty about being upstaged by Will Ospreay here. But yeah, that was a decent segment between all these guys. It felt like a bit longer to get to the point than maybe necessary, but it's not a big complaint because they were entertaining the entire time and left us wondering what will be happening at AEW All In at Wembley Stadium in London. So yeah, this was absolutely great. AEW is definitely tried their darndest to push Daniel Garcia to be a next big babyface superstar here in this company. And so far, he's been getting win after win after win, and the crowd is behind him. I think getting the rub between from MJF and Will Ospreay is only going to help Daniel Garcia in the long run. And of course, him being a hometown hero here in Buffalo, it was nice to kind of get that crowd support swelled up behind him as well. So yes, this is great. I'm hoping to see more out of Daniel Garcia if he has a great match with Will Ospreay, and Will Ospreay just doesn't really miss in AEW. I've not seen him out of a bad match yet. If that continues, Daniel Garcia will continue to look good as well. So yeah, and I'm not sure where all the Will Ospreay MJF stuff's going to kind of settle in here, but at some point we're going to get Will Ospreay versus MJF as well, and that's going to be absolutely outstanding too. So yes, there's a lot of moving parts in AEW right now, and this is just one of them. This show, top to bottom, had a lot of moving parts to it and different storylines that are interweaved through multiple different matches going on at Forbidden Door. So a lot going on in AEW, a little bit confusing, but we'll see if we can kind of straighten this out here on the channel and kind of give you guys a bit of an idea of what's happening. There was a nice little line in this promo from Will Ospreay. He joked about not lasting very long in the bedroom. He said that Garcia's been doing, he's been toppling opponent after opponent and getting victories faster than he can last in the sack, basically. And Garcia's reaction was perfect about this. And Ospreay just kind of looked in the camera. He's like, sorry, babe, I'm trying my best. So it was actually hilarious. But at the same time, I'm not sure I necessarily needed to know all that, Will. That's between you and your lady. But I thought it was a funny line nonetheless. I thought I'd mention it here because I got a good laugh out of it. Shingo Takagi, Titan, and Hiromu Takahashi represented New Japan Pro Wrestling's Los Ingobernables de Japan against John Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli of the BCC. Bryan Danielson was on commentary to support his BCC teammates. This is a really fun match to open up the show. Boiled down to at the end, Moxley got his team intentionally disqualified by using a steel chair in the middle of the ring. Tetsuya Naito's music hit, and he came out to confront Moxley ahead of their match on Sunday. John Moxley met him on the ramp, and they immediately started brawling until they were off screen. Takagi kept attacking Wheeler Yuta until Bryan Danielson ran down to the ring from the commentary position. Again, kind of setting up the two matches between Moxley and Naito and Danielson and Takagi going into Forbidden Door. Definitely did a good job with that there. But some of the post match stuff helped sell the matches for the pay per view. But Danielson and Takagi stare down was a little anticlimactic because it seemed out of character for the American Dragon to just stand there after someone was attacking his teammate. But at the same time, I thought at least did a good job of building up to the pay per view, even though it did have the kind of wonky DQ finish. Not really a big fan of those very often, but at the same time, you can do them. It's not like you can't ever do them. And AEW don't do them very often. So in this case, it was definitely chaotic. A lot of things, like I said, moving parts here. So they did a good job, at least in my opinion, of building up the two matches heading into the pay per view. We had Jay White and Ray Phoenix doing battle in the first round matchup in the ongoing men's Owen Hart Cup tournament, with the winner of the tournament getting a title matchup at AEW All In London. But as usual, the entire Bang Bang gang was at ringside. Ray Phoenix also had Penta and Alex Abrahantes with him, but they were all ejected from ringside for being too rowdy before the bout got started here. Yeah, at the very end, Switchblade Jay White scored a clean win with the Blade Runner to advance to the next round of the Owen Hart tournament, where he will face the winner of Jeff Jarrett and a wild card entrant, which we'll get into in just a little bit about who that may possibly be next week on Dynamite. So, yeah, Jay White advancing to the semifinals here. After the match was over, we got a bit of an altercation between the Patriarchy and the Bang Bang Gang, as Christian Cage has made it abundantly clear that they are interested in the AEW World Trios Championships here that have been unified with the Ring of Honor six-man tag team championships as well. So they're definitely gunning for Jay White and the Bang Bang Gang. So we'll see where this ends up going. I would still like to see Christian Cage versus Jay White one-on-one. That could be a lot of fun as well. So again, a couple different storylines going on here. We got this the six-man trios tags titles, as well as the singles feud here between these two guys. So this could be very interesting going down the line. I can't wait to see where they take this. And definitely, this could end up being a bit of a blood feud if the way Christian Cage likes to escalate his rivalries as well. So this could be a lot of fun going forward. Here's a look at the updated Owen Hart Cup Foundation tournament here on the men's bracket side, with Pac advancing over Claudio Castagnoli in the first round and Jay White as well advancing over Ray Phoenix, as Jay White will get the winner of Jeff Jarrett over the wild card, and Pac will get the winner of Bryan Danielson and Shingo Takagi. That takes place at Forbidden Door on Sunday. So, yeah, the tournament's shaping up really nice. I'm assuming Bryan Danielson to get the win. We'll have Bryan Danielson versus Pac, and my assumption will be Jay White will be facing the wild card, as it while it's a great sentiment that Jeff Jarrett is in this tournament, because he was great friends with Owen Hart, and I think he absolutely deserves to be in this tournament despite what the haters may be saying. He's probably not going to get past the first round, everybody, so everybody just needs to calm down and let him do this to honor his friend. We got a segment with the Young Bucks in the back talking about the wild card that's going to be in the Owen Hart Cup tournament on the men's bracket, and they said that they're going to be inserting their own wild card into the tournament, who will bring the world title back to the elite. So in my opinion, I agree with this post here. It's probably going to be Adam Hangman Page, because obviously the Young Bucks have the AEW Tag Team Championships. You've got Kazuchika Okada holding the Continental Classic or the Continental Championship. So I'm assuming it's going to be Adam Hangman Page finally going heel here, turning with on the fans, I guess, after the whole Swerve stuff. Obviously, he's kind of a bit of a loose cannon when that whole thing was going on, and Swerve they did the double turn with Swerve going babyface and Hangman kind of get a little psychotic there. I think he's going to come back and wrestle Jeff Jarrett and advance in the tournament. And we very well could get Adam Hangman Page winning this tournament. We'll just have to wait and see how this goes. And it would actually make a lot of sense that with the Elite collecting all the title belts, that he would actually go on to challenge Swerve Strickland at All In to kind of renew that rivalry. So it would make a lot of sense if that's what they're going to be doing here. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. But if that's the case, I'm very excited to see Hangman back. We could definitely use his star power here on the show. As a heel would be really cool to watch as well. So yeah, if he comes back with that little psychotic look on his face with that awesome mustache, it could be a lot of fun. So that's my prediction. We'll see how it goes and how it plays out in the tournament. But could be seeing him next week on Dynamite making his long-awaited return. The Acclaimed came out to the ring and made an unannounced appearance and complained about Nick and Matt Jackson being drunk with power. That's when the Elite came out and challenged them to a trios match at Forbidden Door, along with Kazuchika Okada. But Billy Gunn played a video from Hiroshi Tanahashi saying he was opening the Forbidden Door to compete with the Acclaimed at the pay-per-view, which means that Daddy Ass gave up his spot to the New Japan Pro Wrestling president here. So yeah, it looks like we're getting the Scissor Ace. He's going to be coming and teaming up with the Acclaimed against the Elite. So that could be a very fun trios match that they added to the show as well. So looking forward to seeing that as well, because it's always fun to see these interpromotional matches here at Forbidden Door, which is centered around. So I love to see if they're interjecting some more New Japan Pro wrestlers here. Can't wait to see how this trios match goes, because it should be a lot of fun with the talent involved. Interesting that Daddy Ass is not going to be participating in this, but I think all things considered, it makes a lot of sense for Daddy Ass just to kind of be there in the managerial role here and bringing in Tanahashi from New Japan Pro Wrestling, considering the nature of the pay-per-view. But it seems like no matter what Kazuchika Okada does, he just cannot get away from Hiroshi Tanahashi here. He left New Japan Pro Wrestling, and Tanahashi has now followed him over to AEW. These two have a long history together, and I think seeing that rivalry renewed and all that sort of stuff here in AEW is also going to be a lot of fun to check out on Sunday. So we should probably be getting some callbacks to some of their matches and things like that at Forbidden Door. So could be a lot of fun. Can't wait to check it out. Up next was the women's trios bout with Toni Storm, Mariah May, and Mina Shirakawa taking on Saraya, Anna Jay, and Harley Cameron, the new Outcast, the Outcast 2.0, in my opinion, which is a nice little pairing to get people like Anna Jay on the television screen here. I think that's great. Shirakawa and Anna Jay started for their teams and traded a few moves before the number one contender for the women's world title took control. Toni Storm looked mad when Mina Shirakawa tagged Mariah May instead of her. When it was May's turn to tag out, she had trouble deciding who to pick and hesitated long enough for the heel team to get the upper hand. It looked like Shirakawa's tagged herself in, but May remained in the ring through the break. The women's champion got a big pop when she finally tagged in, but it was Mina Shirakawa who got the pin for her team. This was a little disorganized in my opinion, but still had some very enjoyable moments throughout the match. Mina Shirakawa tried to hit Toni Storm with a champagne bottle after the match was over, but hit Mariah May by mistake. Toni Storm remained by Mariah May's side as officials made Mina Shirakawa leave the ring. So yeah, I mean, this is obviously going to be a who will Mariah May choose at the pay-per-view between Mina Shirakawa and her mentor Toni Storm. Obviously, this is probably going to eventually lead to a Toni Storm and Mariah May breakup, in my opinion, because obviously before this match even started, Mariah May started to come out with Toni Storm, then she went back to the back and came out with Mina Shirakawa as well. So this is definitely a triangle thing going on here. But yeah, obviously, this is going to be very intriguing to see where the storyline goes leading into Blood and Guts and potentially All In the future. We'll probably be getting, in my opinion, Mariah May and Toni Storm at All In because that'll be the long-term storytelling that they've been doing between these two ladies, and we'll finally see their breakup and possibly even Mariah May winning the AEW Women's World Title. We'll have to see how that goes and how this match goes at Forbidden Door. But I'm guessing that Toni Storm will retain it Forbidden Door, but again, eventually we'll be seeing Mariah May break off from Toni Storm, and I think that's what we're going to get probably coming up here in August. Chris Jericho and his proteges came out to address Samoa Joe Hook and Katsuyori Shibata, challenging them to a match at Forbidden Door. Brian Keith had his arm in a sling, so he is unable to compete on Sunday. Jericho played a video from Minoru Suzuki that he seemed to think it would show Suzuki joining his team, but that was not the case, as Minoru Suzuki kind of swerved Chris Jericho here. He said, "The learning tree, what is that? I want nothing to do with anything like that. I will not be your partner. Instead, you put your FTW title on the line and you wrestle me," basically laughing off the whole learning tree gimmick here. But yeah, so it looks to me like the learning tree is going to be going in a little outnumbered here unless they find another tag team partner heading into their trios match on Sunday against Joe Hook and Shibata. So yeah, they were also confronted by Joe Hook and Shibata here as this segment ended here. I just got, there's a little bit of a scuff that broke out between the six men in the ring. But yeah, it looks like Jericho's going to be looking for yet another tag team partner before we get to the show. I don't know where this is going to lead, but I imagine we're going to get a little bit more confirmation on this on Collision this week. So I can see how a little bit of storytelling there and bring a little bit of intrigue going into the night before the big pay-per-view. So it gives you a reason to watch Collision as well. So I think that's a good thing to do. We'll see what happens here and who Jericho chooses. I know a lot of people are not enthralled with Jericho right now and his character or, just him personally, whatever it might be. But I think what Jericho's doing right now is actually rather entertaining, albeit a little cringe, but I think that's the point. And I think some people just miss that. And that is actually the point that he's trying to kind of, get under the fan's skin a little bit. That's the whole reason he's doing it. So if you take it for what it is, I think it's actually pretty entertaining, and Jericho's doing a pretty good job with it. So interested to see if they end up doing an FTW title match at the Forbidden Door 2. Maybe Jericho pulls double duty. You know how he likes his television time. Or we'll see if that happens or not. Or maybe if Minoru Suzuki maybe wrestles Jericho at Beach Break next week on Dynamite. We'll have to wait and see. But intriguing nonetheless. I like to see where all these moving parts end up going here as we move along. Next match featured Kyle O'Reilly taking on Zack Sabre Jr. The Undisputed Kingdom was shown watching from the crowd and cheering for Kyle O'Reilly. Obviously, with the whole Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly thing, we're going to have to probably eventually get the culmination of that storyline, like what's going on between these two guys and their former friendship, and they used to be tag team partners at one point. So definitely something I would like to kind of see, maybe play out a little bit more on AEW television. We're just kind of a bit of a slow burn with that right now. I don't know if that has anything to do with Adam Cole, because all these guys used to be a part of the Undisputed Era in NXT. Maybe there's something to do with that. I don't know if we'll be getting Bobby Fish back anytime soon, but at the same time, I think it would be nice to see these three guys kind of call back to their NXT days and maybe get together and do something in the Undisputed Kingdom as well. So I'd like to see some of that coming here on AEW television. We'll have to wait and see. But these two men, who are world renowned for their technical ability, they have unique styles that make them feel totally different. Zack Sabre Jr. is very fluid mat technician, while Kyle O'Reilly favors influence with a lot of strikes. But the thing that they share is a love of submission. So this was a beautiful display of technical ability, and hopefully not the last time we see these two work together. Zack Sabre Jr. scored the win, obviously going into the match with Orange Cassidy at Forbidden Door. And Orange Cassidy came down to check on Kyle O'Reilly after the match was over. Zack Sabre Jr. and his teammates TMDK got in Cassidy's face until Tomohiro Ishii came out and stood next to Orange Cassidy when this segment was over with. So again, I don't know if we're going to maybe be getting like a multi-man match or collision this week. That could very well happen with Sabre and TMDK against Orange Cassidy, Tomohiro Ishii, and maybe someone else. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, this was intriguing to say the least. And again, tying into that Forbidden Door stuff with Ishii coming down to make the save with Orange Cassidy, and Zack Sabre Jr. and his crew obviously coming from that part of the globe as well. So this is all great. I thought it was good to see all this stuff kind of coalescing again with the theme of the pay-per-view. So in my opinion, I think they're doing a pretty good job of building up to the card. The main event, obviously, we got the "Can They Coexist" trope on full display in this week's main event, with the Forbidden Door opponents, Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland, teaming up together to take on Bishop Khan and Toa Leona, the Gates of Agony here. Will Ospreay and Khan had a great exchange to get the action going. Strickland and Ospreay displayed some good teamwork early in the match until a miscommunication led to Leona taking both men down. This match had great energy and gave Ospreay and Strickland a chance to show off before they meet this weekend. Ospreay accidentally super kicked Swerve on the apron, but that didn't stop them from working together to get the win here leading into the show. But obviously, this was obviously some stuff going on here where they, were accidentally having miscommunications. They were hitting each other, all this sort of thing throughout the entire match. But they were both talented enough to get the win over the Gates of Agony here for sure. So the big go-home angle on the go-home show for the Forbidden Door pay-per-view was Will Ospreay. He once again took the World Championship out of Swerve Strickland's hands, but this time the champion Swerve Strickland was having none of that, and the champ kicked his knee out from behind before knocking him out with a kick to the face, and the show ended with the champion Swerve Strickland standing tall over his opponent, Will Ospreay, as the show goes off the air, heading into the big showdown at Forbidden Door on Sunday, June 30th. So yes, I thought this was really good because obviously a few weeks back, Will Ospreay took the title out of Swerve Strickland's hand, and Swerve Strickland was appalled. He said, "You know what? If you were anybody else, and I consider myself, friendly towards you, if you were anybody else, I'd put you in a grave." Well, Will Ospreay went a little too far this time, and Swerve Strickland said, "Enough is enough of that." And so he laid him out here, and that's kind of where we're going to leave this here heading into the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. So yeah, I thought all things considered, this was a really good go-home show for AEW. It did a very good job of highlighting all the elements of the Forbidden Door aspect of the pay-per-view, as well as interweaving all of that into these matchups that they've got planned for the show. So I thought all in all, it did a really good job of setting up the card. So for all you critics out there who say they don't really tell good stories, I thought this show did a really good job of interweaving stuff in and out with all these different players. So I thought it did a really good job. That's just my opinion, but you guys can think what you want. But at the same time, we also got an announcement for next week's Dynamite after the show on Sunday. Beach Break will be presented during Shark Week on Dynamite this week. We've already got some matchups scheduled for that as well. Obviously, the big main event with Will Ospreay versus Daniel Garcia for the AEW International Championship. Regardless of what happens with Will Ospreay during the Swerve Strickland World Title match on Sunday, this match could also be for the world title, but I don't expect Will Ospreay to win that match. I'm assuming we could get possibly an MJF interference there, maybe kind of like a screwy finish to where Swerve Strickland gets a win, or Swerve could just beat him straight up, which would be Will Ospreay's first loss on the AEW roster. So that would be interesting in my opinion. So we'll have to see where that goes. That's what intrigues me the most, is how they're going to book that. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes at Forbidden Door. But yeah, this match next week in the main event could be a lot of fun. And of course, next week we've also got Pac versus the winner of Bryan Danielson and Shingo Takagi in the semifinal round of the Owen Hart Foundation Cup tournament. We've also got Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale. They also announced that Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander will be part of a six-women's trios match for the 0 hour pre-show at Forbidden Door as well, which will be going over the Forbidden Door predictions on our upcoming Dragon's Den podcast this Friday night at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time right here on the channel. So don't miss that as well. But yeah, we'll be going over that match as well as every other match on the card. But next week, we've also got the quarterfinal round again in the first round matchup of Jeff Jarrett versus that wild card, which I predict will be Adam Hangman Page. So, yeah, it sounds like Dynamite next week is already shaping up to be a good show as well. The thing I love about AEW is they do tend to book their stuff out pretty decently match wise. Now, I know a lot of people get some criticism toward them when it comes to their storytelling, but I think at least the matchmaking that Tony Khan does is absolutely outstanding. Some people would rather see a little bit more storytelling involved. I don't disagree with you there. There are certain times that I think the storytelling could be improved upon, but I think the matchups that Tony Khan makes is absolutely great, and I want to see more of that. I just think that maybe they can hire some good writers to kind of help out in that regard, and I think it has gotten better. They've been hiring some former WWE employees and stuff, so I think not to say it needs to be exactly like WWE, but hopefully we'll get some of that influence in there, just a little bit, enough to kind of kind of shape these matches and the cars that they're building. So I think it could be a lot of fun. So I'm hoping to see some of that leading into their biggest show of the year at All In August. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, but what do you guys think? Are you guys excited about what AEW is doing right now, or do you think they're kind of falling behind a little bit? I'm kind of hoping personally that their ratings go up a little bit after last week, after they had the lowest ratings in AEW Dynamite history. I want to see this show continue. I want to see AEW flourish, because when AEW is successful and WWE is successful, both companies push each other to be better, and that's when we get great television. But let me know what you guys think. Comment below, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And until my next week's recap, everybody, take care and God bless.